It started the way most endings do, quietly, almost invisibly. So soft you don't even notice, the cracks forming until the whole foundation is given way. I used to believe some friendships were unbreakable, immune to the passing of years, stronger than love itself. And for the longest time, I thought that was true about me and Megan. We met in college, both of us running late for the same class, both juggling coffee cups and backpacks and laughter that started before. We even knew each other's names. She was magnetic. One of those people who could walk into a room and pull everyone into her orbit without even trying. I wasn't like that. I was quieter, slower to open up, but Megan never cared. She dragged me into her world without hesitation. Movie marathons in cramped dorm rooms, late-night drives with the music too loud, secrets whispered through tears about parents who didn't understand, boys who disappointed, dreams that felt too far away. Somewhere along the way, we stopped being just friends and became something else, something closer to family. We promised each other things, not the small throwaway kind of promises, but the big ones, the ones that anchor you when everything else falls apart. She promised she'd be there when I walked down the aisle someday, even if she had to fly across the world. I promised her the same. We swore we'd raise our kids like siblings, that nothing would ever come between us. At the time, I believed her. I believed myself. And for years, it seemed like we were right. When she met David, I was there from the very beginning. I watched her fall for him, slow and then all at once. I helped her pick out outfits for their early dates, listened to her gush about how he made her laugh, how he looked at her like she was the only person in the room. I stood by her side when she wasn't sure he was serious, when she was terrified he might be just another guy passing through. I told her to trust it. I told her this one was different. And when he finally proposed, I was the first person she called. I still remember her voice through the phone, high-pitched, trembling, almost childlike with joy. Of course I said yes when she asked me to be her maid of honor. There wasn't a world in which I wouldn't have been. It wasn't just about the title. It was about everything we'd built together. All the years of loyalty, all the nights of laughter, all the pieces of myself I'd given her without question. Standing beside her on her wedding day felt less like an honor and more like an inevitability. The months that followed were chaos in the way only wedding planning can be. Dress fittings, cake tastings, endless arguments about flowers and guest lists and budgets. Megan could be demanding, sometimes ungrateful, but I never cared. I wanted it to be perfect for her. I wanted her to remember every detail and know I was there holding her up through all of it. There were moments when she broke down, when the dress didn't fit the way she imagined, when the florist backed out last minute, when the stress got so heavy she cried into my lap like we were teenagers again. Every single time I was there, I reminded her it would be okay. I reminded her she wasn't alone. But somewhere in the middle of all that joy and stress, something shifted. I didn't see it at first. Looking back, maybe I didn't want to. There were moments when she pulled away from me just slightly, like a door closing but not yet locked. A late-night text she didn't answer. A phone call cut short with excuses. Whispers with other friends that stopped the second I walked into the room. I told myself I was imagining it, that we were both just busy, stretched too thin. But deep down, a part of me already knew. The first real crack came at the bridal shower. It was supposed to be a celebration of her, a night filled with champagne and laughter and silly games. I had spent weeks planning it, making sure every detail was perfect, because that's what she deserved. I thought it was what she wanted. But when the night came, something felt off. She was there, surrounded by friends and family, glowing in her white dress. But the way she looked at me, it was different, distant, like I wasn't part of the center anymore, just orbiting at the edges. At one point, I overheard her laughing with another bridesmaid, saying something about how some people just don't understand boundaries. They both looked at me when they said it. My stomach dropped. I told myself they weren't talking about me. They couldn't be. But the seed was planted and I couldn't unhear it. A week later, everything unraveled. She called me late one night, her voice tight, brittle, like she'd been rehearsing. She said she needed to talk. I told her I was listening. There was a pause, one of those long silences that stretch until your whole body feels like it's bracing for impact. And then she said it. I don't want you to be my maid of honor anymore. At first, I thought I misheard her. I actually laughed, a small, broken sound, waiting for her to tell me it was a joke, that she was stressed and didn't mean it. But she didn't laugh. She didn't soften. She just kept talking. She said I had been too involved, that I was overstepping, that it didn't feel like her wedding anymore. It felt like mine. She said David agreed. That stung more than I could explain. I tried to tell her she was wrong, that all I ever wanted was to help, that this was her day and I only wanted it to be perfect for her. But the more I spoke, the colder she became. Finally, she cut me off. I just don't want you standing up there with me. It was like the floor gave out beneath me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. For years, I had been the person she leaned on, the person she trusted most, and now she was looking at me like a stranger. Worse than a stranger, like an enemy. I wanted to scream, to demand an explanation that made sense, but all I could manage was silence. When the call ended, I sat there in the dark, staring at the phone, my whole body shaking. Part of me wanted to believe it was temporary, that she'd call back tomorrow and apologize, that this was just stress talking. But she didn't. Days passed, then weeks, and nothing. Not an apology, not an explanation, not even a text. She moved on with her plans as if I had never been a part of them at all. I thought I was strong enough to stay away. I told myself that I wouldn't put myself through the pain of watching her walk down that aisle without me by her side. But when the day came, something inside me refused to let go. Maybe it was loyalty, maybe it was pride, maybe it was something darker. Whatever it was, I couldn't stay away. I didn't walk through the front doors of the church that day. I couldn't. I didn't want to see the looks, the whispers, the pity. Instead, I slipped in quietly through a side entrance, my dress plain, my face bare, blending into the crowd of guests. Nobody noticed me. Nobody cared. The church was glowing, candles flickering along the aisle, flowers spilling over the edges of every pew. It should have felt magical. Instead, it felt like a funeral. Not hers, mine. I found a seat in the very back, hidden behind a pillar, and I waited. When the music started, every head turned, every voice hushed. And then there she was, Megan, my Megan, except she wasn't mine anymore. She was radiant in her white dress, her veil catching the light like spun glass, her smile so wide it almost broke me. I should have been standing beside her, holding her bouquet, steadying her shaking hands. But instead, I was a shadow in the back, watching another woman take my place. Her maid of honor, Rachel, stood tall at her side, clutching flowers that were supposed to be mine. She whispered in Megan's ear, made her laugh, fixed her veil with practiced hands. The sight of it was unbearable. I bit the inside of my cheek until I tasted blood. But the pain inside me was louder than anything I could do to myself. As Megan walked past, her eyes scanned the crowd. For one brief, impossible second, I thought she saw me. I thought her gaze lingered on mine, a flicker of recognition, a ghost of the bond we used to share. But then she looked away, her smile never faltering. And I realized the truth. She wasn't searching for me. She wasn't thinking about me at all. The ceremony blurred around me. The vows, the rings, the kiss, moments I should have been celebrating, moments we once dreamed of together, they all passed like smoke, leaving me hollow. When the guests erupted into applause, I stayed silent. When they cheered, I kept my hands folded in my lap. It wasn't spite, it was grief. At the reception, I told myself I would slip out quietly, leave before anyone noticed I was there. But something rooted me to the floor. Maybe it was the music. Maybe it was the clinking of glasses. Maybe it was the sight of Megan spinning across the dance floor in David's arms. Or maybe it was Rachel, always Rachel, hovering at her side, filling the space that used to belong to me. I couldn't take my eyes off them. Every laugh, every touch, every secret shared across the table. It was like watching my own memories stolen and repainted. With someone else's face. I wanted to hate Rachel. I wanted to believe she manipulated her way into Megan's life, that she whispered poison into her ear, turned her against me. But deep down, I knew the truth. Megan let her in. Megan chose her. Megan let me go. By the time I finally forced myself to leave, it felt like there was nothing left of me. I walked out into the cool night air, my heels clicking against the pavement, my hands trembling. The laughter and music spilled out of the hall behind me, chasing me into the darkness, mocking me with everything I had lost. For weeks after, I lived in silence. My phone stayed dark, my apartment stayed still. I went to work, came home, and repeated the cycle. Friends called, asked if I was okay, and I lied every time. I'm fine, I'd say. Just tired. But the truth was, I was unraveling. I kept waiting for her to reach out. For some text, some call, some scrap of the bond we once had. But nothing came. She had cut me out cleanly, surgically, as if I'd never mattered at all. And that, more than anything, was what broke me. The nights were the hardest. I'd lie awake, replaying everything in my head, searching for the exact moment it all went wrong. Was it the shower? Was it the dress fitting? Was it something I said years ago that I'd forgotten but she never had? I tore myself apart with questions I would never have answers to. And yet, even in the middle of all that pain, I couldn't hate her. I tried. God, I tried. But every memory of betrayal was tangled with memories of love. Her laughter, her kindness, her loyalty when we were younger. How do you hate someone who once saved you? How do you erase the person who once felt like your home? It just scarred over, leaving me different, leaving me less. I learned how to move through the world without her, but I never stopped feeling the emptiness where she used to be. Sometimes, late at night, I'd imagine running into her again. Maybe in a coffee shop, maybe at the park, maybe in some unexpected corner of the world. I'd imagine her smiling at me, telling me she missed me, telling me she was sorry. And in those dreams, I always forgave her. I always let her back in. But reality is colder than dreams. In reality, we never spoke again. In reality, she built a new life without me, one where I didn't exist. In reality, I learned the hardest truth of all. Sometimes the people you'd do anything for are the ones who will hurt you the most. Years later, I heard she moved to Hawaii. A new house, a new job, a new circle of friends. Her social media was filled with beaches and sunsets, laughter and family photos. She looked happy. Maybe she was. I don't know if she ever thought about me. I don't know if she ever regretted what she did. But I do know this. I will never forget. Because betrayal doesn't fade. It carves itself into you, reshaping the person you are. And no matter how far she runs, no matter how beautiful her life looks now, a part of me will always be standing in the back of that church, watching her walk away from me forever.